So today we're going to be going over the entire Yves Saint Laurent Loam line of fragrances, starting from the original and working through all of the different flankers here. Most of these are still in production, but some are unfortunately discontinued. Some are harder to find than others. Some of these discontinued ones are still popping up on discounters, so you can still grab them. Others have been discontinued for a while and they're really hard to find, and really eBay is going to be your best bet for those. And some of these are going to be going for very high prices on eBay, and others are a bit more affordable. So we'll provide links to all of the Loam flankers that we talk about today in this video. A lot will take you to discounters, some will take you to eBay, and from there I will make sure to link to reputable eBay sellers so you can grab some of these discontinued ones if you want. Now we have a lot to go through here, about 10 of them to be exact, and this has been one of the more expensive buying guide videos because, well, these discontinued ones that I had to pick up weren't that cheap. At least some of them weren't, and I wanted to try to do the entire line, especially for Loam, because I think this is a very important line of men's fragrances. Same thing with the Nuit de Loam line, which I already did a buying guide on that. You can check that out in the playlist. I wanted to make sure to cover everything here, so you know, the wallet did take a hit to put this video together. So if you do appreciate videos like this, make sure you leave a like, a subscribe. All of that does help, and I appreciate it, and it shows that you like these buying guide videos. And essentially, I'm just going to run through all of these, tell you the note breakdown, what I think of them, the performance, and then at the end of the video, I'll tell you my favorites and which ones I think are worth picking up. And as we go throughout the video, I will highlight the ones that are discontinued, and I do believe a couple of them that are discontinued or harder to find are still going to be on discounters, and again, I will bring that to your attention as well. So I think we have a lot to cover here in this video. I'm not going to talk anymore other than about the fragrances here. Let's get into it. So we have to start from the beginning, the original Loam. This is what started it out, and this came before Nuit de Loam, which is kind of a flanker in and of itself. And again, I already covered the Nuit de Loam flankers in a separate buying guide video. This one has ginger, spices, and tonka bean as some of the main notes. This is a gentleman's fragrance through and through. And what's interesting about this one is when you smell this, you may get a bit of an apple type of smell, an apple accord. And that's something I've picked up on ever since I first smelled this. Even now, I still smell apple, but there's no apple listed in the note breakdown. So it's kind of an interesting mix of the ginger, some of the other citrus, a little bit of a creamy tonka bean sweetness to give off this impression of an apple accord, even though it's not actually listed. This is a great gentleman's signature scent, can be worn year-round for any situation. This right here, I'll tell you right off the bat, one of my favorite fragrances. The original Loam is a masterpiece. Performance on my skin isn't the best, but it's not so ungodly either. Usually about 6-7 hours longevity and very mild projection. It projects like a gentleman's fragrance, not one that will shout across the room, more of one that will be discovered. You know, it is very moderate, it's very mild in its delivery, but all of that is worth it to me to have something that just smells this elegant and this classy. Up next we have Loam Sport. Now this one has verbena, lemon verbena, coriander, and aldehydes is some of the main notes. So a kind of aquatic, airy, and very bright take on the original Loam. And it still does nod back to that original, just with a bit more of a brightness like I just mentioned. The coriander and some of the other notes does kind of give off a watery feel. The aldehydes gives off this airy, light wispiness. You know, it is pretty unique for what it is, especially for a sport flanker. And I don't mind this one. I think it's pretty well done. Now, I do believe this is one that is discontinued and is getting a bit harder to find. I think it is out of stock on discounters. eBay is where I got mine, and that's going to be your best bet if you want to grab one for yourself. Now, prices on this one are slowly creeping up. I think I paid about $100 for this one, which is, you know, not too far off of retail, but at the same time, is this necessarily worth $100? A lot of people would argue and say otherwise, and I'm probably there as well. While it does smell great, it is on the lighter side in terms of performance, or about 5 hours or so longevity and pretty weak projection. Not going to be everyone's favorite, and again, the price I can only imagine is going to continue to climb as stock on this one does go down. So up next we have Loam Lin Tint. Now it's interesting when you look this one up on Fragrantica, it's called Loam Parfum Intense. So that's just a little bit of a differentiation there. And I think it started out as Parfum Intense, and when they decided to release a Les Parfums, which we'll talk about, I believe, next, maybe they changed this one up to Lin Tint, or maybe they did that to match La Nuit de L'Homme Lin Tint. I'm not exactly sure, but clearly they did change the name of this one at some point later on down the line, and Fragrantica just kept it as Parfum Intense. I'm assuming they just did it to align with La Nuit de L'Homme and maybe keep some of the confusion down with Les Parfums. That's up next. Not this one, but the other one. This one has orange blossom, ambergris, black pepper, and iris as some of the main notes. So the whole Loam line is based around fresh, kind of ozonic, clean, citrusy fragrances for the most part here. And this one, Lin Tint, is going to be the sweetest out of all of them by far. You go over to the La Nuit de L'Homme line, you get a lot of sweet fragrances in there as well, following after the original La Nuit de L'Homme. But really, for the most part, a lot of these fragrances try to stay true to the original Loam and just take different routes and variances off of it, but still maintain clean, fresh, and kind of spring and fall oriented. This one, though, gets to be more of a heavier winter scent, has that sweetness, has that powderiness. And this is one where it's going to be a bit more divisive because of that powdery sweetness. Not everyone's going to be a fan of this one. It's not your traditional clean, fresh scent. But for me, though, I do really like this one because it is something different. It is a nice variant, and it's something that would be really nice for an evening out or something in the winter time. Now, this one is available on discounters, and the prices have been creeping up on this one a little bit. I did grab this one from Fragrance Net, and I do believe they still do have it. So I don't know if this one's been discontinued or not. But, you know, it is one that is worth grabbing if you have any sort of interest in it, just in case, because you never really know. Lin Tint's really, really solid one if you want something that's going to be a bit sweeter. Performance on my skin is also very solid, usually around 8-9 hours longevity. And again, projection is going to be a bit on the softer side, but it does get the job done. Moving along, we have Loam Les Parfums. Here with this one, we have amberwood, ozonic notes, and violet leaf. So it utilizes the amber wood, which is a very popular trend right now, and that's something that's found in a lot of blue leaning fragrances, and that's kind of what this one looks like. You get ozonic notes giving it kind of a fresh airiness, again something that is common in the line. And you also get violet leaf, which gives it a cooling, fresh, watery type of feel as well. And that violet leaf kind of alludes to another popular fragrance from this line, which is discontinued, and that one will be covered later on in the video. Not a bad scent, but it is a bit on the more boring side. It's a bit on the blue fragrance side of things. That being said, it's a great compliment getter, great mass appeal, very versatile. Performance on my skin is going to fall kind of in line with the rest of these 6-7 hours longevity, decent projection here. None of these are going to be award-winning in the performance category, so that's just something you're going to have to get used to throughout this video. If you came here to try to find one that's beast mode, it's not going to be from this line. That's just not how these are. Now up next, we do have a discontinued one, and this is the perfect example of a designer brand discontinuing one of their best releases. Seriously, from this line, this is one of my favorite flankers. This one is Loam Ultim. Now this one has ginger, rose, and geranium as some of the main notes. So it's a nice, fresh, semi-masculine rose. The ginger gives it a nice spicy kick. The geranium gives it a green mintiness. You guys know the drill. But the rose is what makes this one unique. Rose, and of course it does have the ginger, which is pretty common with this line. Really, really nice fragrance. Nothing else out there that smells like it. This one 100% sets you apart from everyone else. Now I do believe this one is out of stock on discounters, though I could be wrong because it is discontinued. And this one kind of had a cold following, so as soon as word came out, people were rushing out to grab bottles of this one. If it's not on discounters, I will try to find you a link to perhaps maybe a reputable eBay seller or something along those lines. I'm not sure if they still carry it anymore either, but I'll do my best to give you some sort of way to purchase this one if you're interested. Unfortunately, prices are going to be going up. It is probably getting harder to find. This is kind of one of those things where if you missed out on it, it sucks, but that's just kind of what you have to deal with here. Performance on this one is good. Again, another 7-hour fragrance and a decent projector. I found that this one pushed off my skin a little bit better than some of the others in this line for sure. Moving along, we have Cologne Blue, Loam Cologne Blue. This one has sea notes, citruses, and lavender, some of the main notes. So it goes watery and aquatic, nice clean lavender, nice bright, fresh, summery citruses. Another one that's going to be a bit on the generic side, a bit on the boring side. Yes, this one is ultra clean, ultra invigorating, and very bright, but another one that's not really going to blow you away. You do get a bit of a bubblegum sweetness from this one, and this kind of gets compared to Invictus type of fragrances. And yeah, there's definitely a comparison there. Has a little bit of Mont Blanc Legend Spirit because it throws in the lavender. Has a little bit of a bubblegummy sweet Invictus. Nothing new with this one. This is kind of one of those ones you can do without. I also find longevity isn't the best either. Another 6-hour fragrance, which isn't bad, but if you're grabbing something that's not going to be that unique, a lot of times the saving grace is if it has beast mode performance compared to a lot of the others, and this one doesn't have that. Up next, we have another cologne flanker. This one is Loam Cologne Ginger. Now this one's discontinued, and it's gonna run you kind of a pretty penny on eBay actually. I ended up paying more than I would have liked to for this one, and really I don't think it's worth all that much money, but that's just how it is with these discontinued fragrances. Now this one has ginger, watery notes, and musk. And this one is all about, obviously, the ginger. That's kind of the heart of this Loam line. If you haven't seen the trend already, that's what the original is all about. And they really did do a good job of staying with that trend and with that theme. And they released a, appropriate ginger flanker, a cologne ginger. It's a fresher, lighter version, essentially, with a bit of an aquatic touch in there. You get just a nice bed of musk, kind of a cologne-y, traditional masculine musk. Just smells like a cologne. Again, a nice sparkling ginger. Again, some of the aquatic notes. Smells nice, but very weak. This one's like a 4 or 5 hour fragrance longevity, and sometimes that's pushing it. Projection isn't that great either. Very pleasant smelling for the short time that it is on your skin, but there's a reason why they cut this one off. It's just not really worth a whole lot in my opinion, but it is a really pleasant smell, and one that you could spray on heavily if you could afford it, which really at this point, how expensive it is, you can't really do that. If this was a cheapie, hey, it would be a nice smell to spray on heavily, but this one unfortunately is not a cheapie, and it never really was either. Moving along, we have Loam Libra. Now this one has violet leaf, pink pepper, and vetiver as some of the main notes. So this is another one that had a cult following back when this one was in production. Kind of similar to how Ultim does or did before that one got discontinued. A lot of people were going on about Libra, and there's a good reason. The violet leaf gives it this ozonic freshness, this little bit of a wateriness. Get a nice bed of vetiver in here, giving it a slightly green touch and just a nice woodiness. Pink pepper up top, giving it a spicy kick along with that violet leaf. Very pleasant smell, very cooling, refreshing. Perfect for springtime. Yeah, it'll work in summertime. Yeah, it will work in fall. Sure, it could work in wintertime if you wanted it to, but it's just clean, green, and fits the bill perfectly for springtime. That's what this one is all about. You spray this one on, you think of spring. Unfortunately, discontinued, and this is another one where I paid a little bit more than I would have liked to for this one, but I do like it. I'm glad to have it in the collection, just as, having it as a piece of history, I guess. And it is a pleasant smell. Not cheap, though, on eBay. Really not cheap. This is one of the more sought-after discontinued ones from this line. Probably the most sought-after one right now, aside from maybe Ultim. And so, because of that, you're going to have to pay the price for this one. Performance is good on my skin. Another 7-hour scent and decent projection as well. In the heat, this one pushes out pretty good. We're running down to the end. Second to last fragrance we're going to be talking about today is Loam Summer Edition, or Loam Deity, I believe is what it's called, or Loam Deity, I think. It's Loam Deity. Is that right? Something along those lines. But it's a summer edition. Now this one is a tester. It gives you a little bit of info on the back here on the sticker. I was only able to find this one in testers on eBay. Couldn't find one with the cap. I think there was one that was like $250. Just not really worth paying an extra $150 for a cap. So I decided not to do that, and I just got a tester here, which is fine, is what it is. Looks a little bit silly, but it'll get the job done for this video. Great, great smell. I actually really like this one. It's a true summer edition, and while a lot of these could have been called summer edition, this one's actually one of my favorites. Now this one has bergamot, ginger, and vetiver as some of the main notes. Again, it's following the trend. Again, this was a limited summer release. There's actually 2 of these on Fragrantica, Both of them have, I believe, the same note breakdown. There's the same thing. Just one came out in a certain year, and then this one came out the year after. They were both limited editions, I believe is what it was. Something along those lines. Both summer editions, and obviously discontinued, but available on eBay. Nice smell, very pleasant. The bergamot's nice and tart and bright. The vetiver in here just gives it a nice green touch. Pleasant smell, and again, I do really like this one, but is it really worth going out and hunting it down on eBay? You be the judge of that. Performance is going to be on par with everything else. It's a nice 6-hour fragrance or so longevity, decent projection when you get some heat on it. Pretty pleasant. Last up, we have Loam Design by Jean Nouvel. Now, this one has the exact same note breakdown as the original Loam, and that is because it is the same as the original Loam, just in a interesting bottle. Cap on the bottom, it's basically the same cap as what everything else uses. It is different though, it's got some weight to it. I think the cap weighs probably just as heavy, if not heavier than the bottle. There's your atomizer. What's cool is it has this floating thing in there. At first I thought something broke off inside the bottle when something was floating around making noise, but that's supposed to be there. Cool little ornament. It's got the YSL logo in the middle of it, which I think I just noticed, or something along those lines. I'm not exactly sure what it is. I think it might be YSL logo. Again, original Loam. Now what I like about this is that this has the older formulation of Loam inside of it. So it's a bit more spicy, it's a bit more rich than maybe what you would buy nowadays if you were to go buy Loam from a discounter now or from a department store. It's going to be a newer batch. This, while it's the same fragrance, it's just in an older formulation, and there is a difference there in smell for sure. Over the years it has been reformulated. I do like this one. It is interesting more for the fact that it is an older formulation of Loam, and I do like that little floating thing in there. Pretty cool, just kind of a weird bottle to stack. But again, same thing as the original, same note breakdown, all of that stuff. So I just went through the entire line of Loam fragrances here. I believe I got them all. There was a couple edition arts, but those are just the same as the original Loam, just in a different collector's bottle. Kind of similar to the Jean Nouvel bottle. Same scent, just a different bottle there. Now we're to the part where I tell you my favorites. Honestly, I'm going to start with the obvious one. Just the original Loam is my favorite from the entire line. Out of all of these flankers, we've got 10 of them here. Out of all of them in total, the original Loam is still my favorite. That is just a timeless, beautiful scent for me. It always has been. Now, if I were to pick a second favorite, it might be Ultim. I really like Ultim. Again, discontinued now, unfortunately. If I were to pick another one after that, I don't mind Lin Tint. I like the sweetness that it has. Libra's pretty good. A lot of the ones that I do like are discontinued, and a lot of the newer ones, Cologne Blue, Les Parfums, are a bit on the boring side, and those I don't really care for that much, but they are pleasant. Now, if I somehow had the push or the power to contact Yves Saint Laurent and have them bring back one of these, which one would I pick? That would probably be Libra, just plain and simple. Either that or Ultim, I guess, but that one is newly discontinued. I don't know, maybe I would choose that one, but I really do like Libra as well. It would between those two if I could bring one back. But I would say if you're in the market for a Loam fragrance, start off with the original and see what you like. If you like that one, then maybe you'll want to explore some of the fresher ones, but again, all the ones that are in production are a bit on the boring side. I think they've really kind of buried the Loam line, and I've talked about this before. They've discontinued all of their good ones, and they're just kind of giving us some mediocre releases. Now, I think the La Nuit de Loam line, the original and all of its flankers, are a lot more interesting than the Loam line. We do have quite a bit of duds in here, just more boring scents. But the La Nuit de Loam line, there's some pretty decent ones in there. So that's going to do it for me, guys. Remember, if you want to grab any of these for yourself, the links will be down below. Some taking you to discounters, some taking you to eBay, which is where the discontinued ones are available. Let me know your favorite Loam flanker down below. That's going to do it for me. Thank you so much for watching. Stay safe, stay healthy. We'll see you tomorrow with another one. Take care.